let's talk about sobriety. Now, personally, my drug of choice, my intoxicant was weed. I've been smoking weed since a young teen, early teen. So that's on and off 10 plus years. And I've had weed in all different phases of my life. Some of the best moments I was smoking, some of the worst moments I was smoking, and I'm just now coming to terms with looking at myself sober. Right now I'm 6 months sober, and looking at myself and seeing the pros and cons. I'll say it like that because I don't want to get on here and just say like, oh yeah, now that I'm sober, my nose is up, and just weed is bad, and that's not true. But I think that there does come a time where you're using drugs to cope with your life. You're using things as a crutch to lean on instead of assessing and focusing on what it is that you actually want out of your life. And I know that's my story. That's my case. Weed for me was always it was almost like a friend that I could always go to and always have a chat with. Whatever's going on in my life, I could always, like, I'm telling you, I used to go through a full day of school and go through a shift at work and have energy just knowing that, okay, at the end of the day, I have my weed. Anything that happens today, it could be a terrible day, but as long as I have my weed, as long as I have my buddy, it's no problem. And for a lot of times that gave me a different energy, and it gave me a different attitude around a lot of people where they might have been leaning only on themselves. I knew, oh no, I got my bud, or oh, I'm gonna go on a break, hit my little pen, hit my little joint, my little blunt, give me a mood switch, go about my business. And there's been plenty of times where that was a positive, that gave me a high spirit, pun intended. But there were also times where when I didn't want to think at all, or I didn't want to feel certain moments, where I was processing the death of a family member, or processing the death of a friend, or processing a breakup, or dealing with financial troubles. Ironically, spending that money on weed pushed all those thoughts out and let me just enjoy the day or the hour. Because the more you smoke, the more your tolerance goes up, and then you need to consume more of it to try to get to that baseline feeling, and it starts fleeting. And I'm telling you, not smoking weed for fun, but smoking weed to reach the normal is not safe. It's not healthy, and it puts you in a lot of weird places with a lot of weird people, because the things you'll do to try to feel comfortable ironically puts you in a very uncomfortable place, financially, emotionally, socially. I've been around people who I have nothing in common with this person at all, but the fact that we both smoke weed, we both sitting there together. Our energies are clashing, but we smoke weed together. So I guess yeah, it's the stoner culture, And these 6 months that I've been sober, it's actually shown me a lot of who I am, and a lot of how much of my personality I packaged away to be available, or to be easily digestible around other people. Things that I can't stand, that I would put to the side just to be near this plant, be near this weed. Money that I wouldn't save because, oh no, as long as I get my blunt today, I don't got to think about tomorrow. I'll go to work tomorrow. I'm not worried about it. Plans that I didn't follow through on, or even just goals that I didn't keep up with, because it felt better to just blank out and roll up. Times that I didn't even spend with my girl because I had an attitude because my plug didn't call me back, or the combo of me getting my weed and then my food didn't hit right, so now I need to roll up again and I want to go back outside, or I want to go do something else, or let's go buy some more. It's a lot of different moments that I can reflect on now and just say, man, like, I was such in a daze that I missed out on some things, and we're just talking 6 months of sobriety. And I think when you're smoking too, you don't see the time for how valuable it actually is. You don't realize how much time you spend just trying to get it, trying to find somebody that has it, and then trying to find good quality, now you got to go get a wrap. Now you got to go get papers or a piece. Sometimes you have to go and actually be with the people that have it for a few. You got to find a location that you can do it, and that gets into the territory of law enforcement. You gotta be sneaky. You can't smell like it. You can't come around certain people. Now you're avoiding family. It's a lot of time that gets sunk into it just to try to get that spark of feeling. And on the flip, that feeling does feel good, right? It's just the cost of that. It takes away a lot more, I think. Now, if you're older and you have your ducks in a row, you got money in the bank, you got your bills paid, you got everything you need, you're not dependent, and there's no one else dependent on you, I think you can reassess your relationship with weed. But to all my young people, I think that your aim should really be finding the natural things that make you feel safe and comfortable. I had to find and search within myself why I didn't feel comfortable just being sober. Why I didn't feel comfortable just waking up and then building my day from there. I'm talking about every day I had to roll up. Like, I woke up, I'm already thinking of, who can I text to get this, where I'm gonna go, or is somebody gonna drop it off to me? What am I gonna eat after? And then I'm pacing out like, okay, I'm gonna have a session in the morning, I'm gonna have a session at lunch, and then I'm gonna smoke something after dinner. That took up so much of my planner. It's actually crazy to really think about, I'm about to go to work. I'm about to go to work high. Oh yeah, they're not gonna say nothing. They know. You can't smell like it, so you're constantly trying to either avoid people so they don't smell you, or covering yourself up, and then it's illegal, so you can't ride around with it, or you're not supposed to. So it's just that constant paranoia too of, man, what if this situation happens, or you start thinking like, damn, I really don't want to go anywhere because I don't want to get in trouble with the law, so I'm just gonna stay at home and smoke. Or, I just got invited out, but these people don't really smoke, so now I'm gonna skip that and just stay at home and smoke. It really just starts to take that life force from you, and you don't realize it because you are feeling that positive, in the moment. But when you reflect back, you just see how much time was spent doing these things and running from your life. You're effectively burning your life up, just the countdown timer. And I don't think the trade-off is worth it, Now, there's some people who they can smoke and then sit it back down, and they won't pick it up for a week, they won't pick it up for 2 weeks, and it'll just be something it's a party favorite. It comes around. I admire that discipline. I jumped full into the pool, I didn't have that discipline. My access to it led me to, it was so normal that, oh yeah, of course I'm about to smoke every day. Oh yeah, I hang with all my friends are stoners. Yeah, of course, if I don't got it, they got it, and somebody else is gonna get it later. So I think there is a middle ground, But I think specifically for younger people, you should find your life with sobriety first. And if you add on anything to that, it shouldn't be the focus. You know, you should have things that make you happy outside of this drug, this plant. You know, it's like same with alcohol. Like, it's some people who, if they have one, they're gonna have 10. And then there's other people who, on a Friday night, I might drink a little mixed drink. I might have a beer. You know, it's not my favorite thing, but you know, it's after a full week of work, I could see it. You know, I don't feel like it has such a grasp on me. I feel like I've earned it. You know, and I think it's about rebuilding that relationship with whatever your thing of choice is. Now, I don't know anything about no powders, pills. I don't know anything about that. But Mary Jane, I can tell you about that. And right now, I'm restructuring that relationship. I'm 6 months sober. And I'd be lying if I said I didn't miss smoking weed. Some of my best moments were smoking weed. And some of those feelings of weightlessness, that's my cat in the background, they came from smoking. And I get that. But a big thing for me is not wanting a crutch to finding my way in this life, you know. And I really had to face myself, and I had I'm gonna call it a panic attack one time after getting high, and I just thought about like who I wanted to be versus who I am right now, and why is it that I have to do this thing just to feel okay? You know, why do I not look around and see things that warrant me that same feeling, you know? And I wanted my reality to catch up to who I wanted to be. So that's part of this journey that I'm on. Sobriety is, I want my reality to match who I see myself up here as. And I think we all should be on that, you know? And I'm not here to judge anybody else that does their thing. I'm speaking about me. So if any of y'all relate to that, if any of y'all are trying to get sober, excuse me, what helped me is I have an app. I have 2 apps. One is called Days Sense, and it literally is just like a countdown. It lets you count how many days of something you're doing. So when I started first day, it did 1 day. And so it counts how many days since, hence the name, you've been doing something. So I have that for my vegetarianism and sobriety, and I think I have a couple other ones, like how many days it's been since the beginning of the year. And I have another one called Grounded, where it plants a seed and it starts to grow, and it shows like a tree animation growing from the seed, the idea of being sober, and it shows you how much money you've saved, all the time you haven't spent. So those have definitely been visual aids. Because there are a ton of triggers, you know, your friends, sometimes stress, it triggers me, you know, but I have to remind myself, like, the man I want to be doesn't need something to reset, you know. I should be able to do that mentally, and one day in the future, I might reassess my relationship with weed, but I want at least the space to know that that's what I'm doing and not just being automatic. So if you relate to that, drop me a like, a comment. Let me know how your sobriety journey is going, or if you smoke weed, or if you just want to talk about, you know, finding your way without a substance. We can do that. And like I said, I'm not trying to judge anybody. I'm trying to figure myself out. So y'all be easy.